Alright, welcome back to the channel. We are going to be working on my 93 Nissan Skyline. Has an R34 GTT swap, which is RB25 Neo. I took motor, trans, front suspension brakes, put them in this car. I have not done the rear brake conversion yet. I'll do that later on when I do the GTR axle upgrade and hub assembly upgrade, just so it holds the brakes. I'll do that one later on. But today we are going to be cutting on a carbon fiber hood that does not clear my turbo. So we are going to trim this piece out here. I'll put a light underneath there, show you where it's hitting at. And then I've got to fix a broken stud on the strut. I was retorquing stuff, and I guess the bolt wasn't as strong as I thought it was. It broke last fall. I haven't been driving the car. It's been winter, so it has a little bit of rust on it. So I'm going to pull the strut out, press that out, go to Napa or wherever I go to get the new stud, and I'll show you how to change that. So if you ever run into that situation, you can do that. But trying to mend up a few things on it so we can get it out and do some street tuning with it. Because right now the car is currently running on E85, and E85 I can find it locally, but I want to go to some shows and car meets that are not as easy, and it's not as easy to find the fuel, basically is what I'm saying. So I want to try to, we're going to retune the car for 93. And later on it will have a dual tune. I have to get a plug for my Haltech so I can run my ethanol sensor, which I don't have that wired up yet. So that's one reason why we're going back to 93, just basically because so I can get fuel anywhere. So, well, let's get to it. As you can see, the hood does not shut at all on this side very well. I had this hood on another Skyline. This is a GTR carbon fiber hood. I do not like it at all. I thought I'd like it because it has the cold air intake here. And it also allows the engine heat to come out here, and heat to come off the radiator there and on the other side. But I drive my cars. They don't sit in garages and stuff like that, and I park them outside a lot. So one thing I don't like is it holds dirt in all these spots. And the carbon fiber, after about a year, is just failing. It is what it is, but eventually I'll go to a regular GTR hood. So if you have one and you want a carbon fiber hood, hit me up. But I already marked it with a Sharpie. Hopefully you can see that. So let's get started. I'm going to lay a bag across the top of the engine to help for cleanup. So that and help keep some of this dust out of my air filter and out of everything else. I will get some dust in other places. I'll have to blow it off with an air hose or whatever. But this will help with cleanup. I have to get a tighter fitting hat so my hammer don't fall off. As I use a fender cover and drag a hose across the paint. It's only really rubbing through here, but I'm going to cut it back just a little bit more, just to be sure. I may have to cut into here and here a little bit deeper. We'll find out after we shut it and retest fit it. It should just pop right out of there. Alright, you can see I cut quite a bit of that out. And this will make cleanup a little bit easier, hopefully. Let's go ahead and get you back where hopefully you can see. Flashlight back on. I am still fitting on something. It also could be twisted now from where it's been sitting in the garage with the hood open for a month or two. But that's what it is. But it's no longer hitting, I don't think. Alright, I stuck my phone in there, recorded everything. I'll show you that video as well. But I'm going to cut this out right through here. It looks like it's hitting just a little bit on this outer edge. I was just thinking I was just going to leave a little lip in here, but I really don't care about this hood, so I'm going to cut it straight through here and straight through here. Make it simple, easy, fake it together, and hopefully that solves the issue. Just come straight across. Alright, you can see we got it all cut out. I almost poked a hole in the carbon through the other side, but like I said, I really don't care about this hood, so. Alright, I looked at the video on my phone. Turbo's not hitting the braces anymore. It almost touches the surface of the hood underneath. I'm glad it didn't push on it too hard or anything like that. We'll see once the engine flexes how much it affects the hood. But if I have to, I'll cut a hole in the actual carbon itself. If I don't have to, I won't. I parked this thing outside, so I really don't want to have to cut a hole in it. So we'll get, now that that's addressed, I'm going to jack up the car and pull out the strut, press out the broken stud and put a new stud in. Like I said, I was just I over-tightened it. My torque wrench, I wasn't paying attention. I torqued something else on the car and went back and did that, and it was probably about 10 foot-pounds more than what the strut should have been. So I ended up breaking the bolt because I was just being a dumbass. Yes, I'm running a spacer on here. My veil side wheels are 3-piece wheel, but the my back spacing, because these used to be on an RX-7. This right here doesn't allow the caliper to clear. I mean, it just barely clears it with the spacer on there. So eventually, I'll switch these wheels out. So I haven't decided if I'm going to wide body this car or if I'm just going to finish my wide body Mustang before I do something crazy with this. But to get this strut out, it's real simple. I believe that was a 14 or a 15. And I think the one on the bottom is a 19. I can't remember. Vice grip hammers. If you're going to beat on top of a nut like that, you should always put a out. Alright, as you can see, it has a broken stud, so I'm going to take my press and press this guy out and then run to Napa and see if they have one of these. Alright, I have my snap-on ball joint press. Most ball joint presses are all about the same, so they'll work similar. So socket this way. There we go. But this stud is broke off, so I'm just going to press it out and put a cup on this side, flat piece on this side, push it out. As you can see here, we got a press on, we got a cup on. We're just barely on the edge of this. Hopefully this works out well. I'm going to go slow with it. I don't want to break this piece of aluminum. Hopefully I don't. Hopefully this stud is not going to catch this cup. That's my main concern here. And just like that, pressed out. It just looks like a miniature lug stud, as you can see here. Real short stud. So now we're going to go to Napa and hopefully find a stud like this or something equivalent to this that'll work. That is metric. Hopefully it'll work and we'll fake this back together. Alright, I went to the auto parts store and got a Allen bolt. I could not get a stud that was the correct size. So this is my solution. It's a temporary solution. I put a lock washer on it. It's going to fake in like so. And then I am going to get a hold of the strut manufacturer D2E and see if I can get, I think it's D2, whatever the hell the name of it is. But yeah, I am going to get a hold of the manufacturer to see if I can get a stud. If not, I am going to go to Fastenal. I kept the old piece and see if they can get me something. Or if not, I'll just drill this out and put a little bit larger stud. Because I could find larger ones. I just couldn't find smaller. Napa wasn't very helpful. So, at least the particular one I went to. So, I'm going to try a couple other different places and see if I can find a stud. But for right now, this is my temporary fix. Alright, as you can see there, it looks good there. And now down in here, it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the Allen, maybe. You can see the Allen head in there, and I put a lock washer on it. It's not going to interfere with anything. I wouldn't recommend doing it like this, but for right now, I need to get this thing back on the road. So I'll order the correct stud, and I'll replace it later. We are going to be putting a reservoir in this car. It does not have radiator overflow. I happen to have this, I don't remember what brand it is. I got the package laying here somewhere. I'm just collecting dust. But we're going to be putting this reservoir in stainless steel. It's pretty nice. Nice locking cap. Nice machined O-ring seal. I got this at Jegs years ago. I was going to put it on a Suburban I had that had a 430 cubic inch small block in it. And but we are going to utilize that bottom bolt hole down there. I don't know if you can see that or not. And this top one, I'm going to fake this guy right in here, and then I'm going to build me an aluminum bracket out of some 1x. I'm going to notch it to fit in that hole, or find me a piece of aluminum to TIG weld on the end of it, and then bend this, and then put it like a Z in it. Make it bolt up to this bolt hole here, or I'll put a spacer in it. I'll probably just put a spacer. Spacer would probably be easier. Put a spacer and a long bolt, put it right there, drill 2 holes in it, wham bam, done. Now that might sound easy, but it's probably going to be a pain in the butt a little bit, but we'll fake it. First off, I'm going to notch this and see if I like the way that fits in there. And then I might just build up a little bit of weld on each side with the TIG welder and shape it that way instead of trying to find something to go on there. So that'd probably be the easiest route. Alright, from off the bottom up here, I don't know, hopefully you can see that. The bottom of this is almost, we'll say 17.5 inches. So we're going to come down to probably about 16.5, make our bend, then come up. Alright, I'm going to bend this piece. I'm just going to clamp it to my tire machine. This aluminum's pretty soft, so it should bend fairly easily. Couldn't find my dead blow hammer, so I clamped this here about roughly where I want it to bend. So I'm just using a big old crescent wrench, making a mess as I do it because I'm a slob, as you can see. So I made my first bend, which didn't turn out too bad. Just trying to show you that you don't have to have fancy ass tools to do what you want to do. Hopefully this will bend. Probably should have done this one first. I'm probably gonna have to grab something to sandwich that a little bit better, like this. I have a finger brake, which is over in that mess over there in the very back corner, which would make this a whole lot easier. But like I said, I'm a slob. Let's move some of this shit out of the way. One, I'm trying to show you don't have to have fancy tools to do all this. I mean, you can do this with a hacksaw, a drill, some other stuff. Yes, my bend isn't 100% straight, but I really don't care. This needs to serve a purpose, which it's going to. Now, just doing a little rough there, and so now I'm just gonna cut it off right like so. Just kind of radius it. My radius doesn't look too good, so I'll probably trace that out with something a little better, like this wrench. Go up a little bit higher. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's not a show car, it's a car I'm just going to beat the piss out of. Then we'll go to our handy dandy little saw. The stand is great unless you get a bunch of vibration into it. There's a set screw here you can adjust to tighten it up a little bit better. It'll work great for that, for cutting straight on, but once you get stuff bouncing, it's not very good for that. So I'm just going to use a grinder and shape my shape that I want. I think that'd be the best route to go. All right, I just went ahead and just laid this across there like that. Marked my holes. I'm going to drill them out. I don't know. Nice thing is I'll be able to move it back and forth because this piece is slotted. So, plenty of room for the cap. I'm kind of glad I made it a little bit at an angle away because it gives me more clearance to put my fingers between the cap and the radiator. So, drill my holes and weld this up and bolt it in and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, one little fancy tool I like is this little spring-loaded punch. It's great for starting your drill bit. They're real inexpensive. You can pick them up any hardware store, or Harbor Freight carries them, any welding supply place. And only a couple bucks and they're a lifesaver. Keep your drill bit from walking on you. Alright, got it welded up, ground down. I'm going to drill a hole through here so I can put a cotter pin and a washer. I wish I would have had the correct bolt so I could put threads on it, or just the correct size piece of aluminum. My Napa was already closed, so I couldn't go get a piece. And I was running out of welding gas, which I need to go get more now. But we're going to fake this together just hand tight. Let's see what she looks like. I'll put the correct length hardware in it once I go to the hardware store tomorrow. Oh, well, we lost that washer. Now it's completely a little bit of adjustable. We're going to adjust it all the way up, and then we'll adjust it to where we want it from there. We'll get some a little bit shorter bolts. I have these big long guys on there. See how well she fits. Now what did I do with my bolt? No, no. There it is. It's in my hoodie pocket. Get some washers and some nice bolts from the hardware tomorrow. Plenty of room for the cap to go on and off. A little tight through there, but I think once we get it tightened, everything bolted down, tightened down, I think it'll be nice. I might space the bottom out just a little bit. I don't like how close it is down there. So I think I will put 2 washers underneath the other side just to bring it out just a little bit. Alright, we are going to be robbing the alternator off my GTR to put on my other Skyline. Just because I can't get an alternator this weekend and I need one today. So we're going to steal this guy out and take the inner drive pulley off, put a stock pulley on it. And then later on, next week or so, we are going to work on the wide body Mustang. We're going to bring it into the garage, put some parts on it that I have, possibly put the wing on it, finish the rear quarters, and finish hanging the Meyer Racing wide body that's been heavily modified in the rear. This car is going to have an SB 2.2 NASCAR engine in it, so it should be pretty fun. It's mostly fiberglass, so I got fiberglass doors, hood, trunk, quarters, and fenders for this car, and Lexan glass. A little peek on the fenders. I haven't touched this car in a few months, so we're gonna mess with it and get it in the garage and do a few things to it as well. Alright, as you can see way down in there, you got a 12 millimeter nut here and a 12 millimeter nut here. You loosen this one up to loosen the belt. Take this one out, and on the bottom, way down there, I don't know if you can see it, we'll see it from the bottom side though, you're going to need a, I believe it's either 14 or 15, pull that out, and an 8 millimeter, and it just comes right out. Shut my flashlight off. I don't want to shut my flashlight off just yet. Oh, way down here. Alright. But yeah, you got a nut right there you got to remove. And then a little ground wire, and then your positive wire on the back of your alternator, and then your wire that excites your alternator. And then you can see underneath the car the big old exhaust running underneath her. But pop this guy out, and hopefully it's the same alternator, because this is RB25 Neo and the other one is RB26, so hopefully they're the same. I'm hoping. We'll find out here in a minute. Alright, I got both alternators off. This is the one that came off the 2001 GTT motor, RB25 Neo, and this one come off the 93 GTR. The mounting points look the same, the back sides of them look the same. This one's just a little bit larger case. The shafts look to be about the same. This one is a little bit larger bolt, this one's not. I'm going to see if this pulley will come off and interchange onto here. If it will, I will switch this pulley to this alternator, because I wanted to keep all my Greddy pulleys on the GTR, even though they're all worn out and beat up. But I want to try to keep it as original as the OG JDM build that it was. So I'm going to use a band wrench to keep my pulley from spinning. Hopefully it'll work, and an impactor. Let's see if we can get this guy off there. Alright, that came right off. Probably get me 2 screwdrivers and pop it up off there. Now, if you don't have a band wrench, you can use a leather belt. Pull it up tight, put it through put it to an open end of a wrench, and then bend it around. It'll work as well. And usually you can just take a screwdriver and just pop them right off sometimes. Alright, moment of truth. Shaft sizes are the same. We got lucky. Look at that. Now, this one I'm going to take to an alternator shop and have rebuilt. And we'll put it back on my GTR. And I don't like using an impact to seat these if I don't have to. What I mean seat is been pushing the pulley all the way down. That's why I gave it a little tight. Now I will use an impact to tighten these, but I won't use an impact to pull the pulley down onto it. And yes, a larger pulley like this will spin the alternator slower, so it won't charge as efficiently. But these are only like 120 amps or 80 amps, depending on the alternator. I'm going to have this one rebuilt to like a 275 or 300, so then it won't matter. Eventually, I'll do the same to this one, but right now, I just need to get this car on the road. They don't have to be terrible tight, they just need to be tight. Helps if I use the right size socket, don't it? Alright. sucks is I know I have another one of these alternators somewhere, and my organization skills suck. I have 2 parts rooms in my house that are full of parts. My garage is full of parts, and I have totes full of parts, and I know I have one of these alternators somewhere, but I'm not spending 5-6 hours looking for it when I just take the one off the GTR, and then when I find the other one, I'll just take them both. I have them both rebuilt and put one on the shelf. Well, take this one back off the car, put this one on the shelf, and then go from there. I've been told there's one off an Altima that is almost the same. The only difference is I think that this isn't threaded on the Altima. I think you have to put a nut on the other side. I think that's the only difference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been told there's one off an Altima that works. So we'll get this guy back in there, and then hopefully we can get this thing out and get the fuel drained out of it, put some 93 in it, and hook a laptop to it and get her going. Well, this is going to wrap up this episode. We got the alternator put in, wired up the fans and some other fun stuff, and got the charging issue fixed, and wrapped up the car. All I have left to do is get a new plug for my corner marker lights and get her to the tuner, and a couple other small things. But hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll get some more footage of this car out here soon, and I'm going to let it run. I just drained all the E85 out, and I'm going to let it idle and burn off all that power steering fluid I spilled on the exhaust manifold.